A lot of Americans are really sitting at the edge of their seat, both journalists and non-journalists. We're all just kind of waiting for results.
Tonight, waiting for a U.S. presidential outcome while a number of tribal citizens are elected.
Allow Indigenous communities across Canada and North America to know that the only thing stopping you from achieving what Kyle has achieved is hard work.
And a series of comic books featuring Indigenous superheroes. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. We begin in Ottawa tonight, where earlier today Conservative MPs drilled the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans over her handling of the Indigenous and commercial fishers controversy. Here's some of that discussion from question period.
Mr. Speaker, this fisheries minister has been MIA when Indigenous and commercial fishers are relying on her for answers. A motion passed unanimously at the Fisheries Committee gives this minister until November 20th to appear and explain herself to fishing communities and all Canadians. Nearly every witness we've heard from has said this minister dropped the ball. She's been hiding for far too long when Canadians deserve answers. Committee members want to meet with the Minister of Fisheries. When will she be ready to meet with the committee and fulfill her duties? Will she respect the November 20th deadline?
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, actually, I believe I am scheduled to appear before committee in November. I'm happy to do that. I have been engaged in this file since day one. I have met with the commercial harvesters as well as with Indigenous communities. Mr. Speaker, we know how important it is to find a peaceful resolution to this ongoing issue. I will continue to work with all parties involved to make sure we get to that point. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now to our southern neighbors, and at this hour, the outcome of the U.S. presidential election remains up in the air. What is known is that tribal citizens in the U.S. ran for office in record numbers and achieved major milestones. For more, we're joined by Indian Country Today reporter-producer Aliyah Chavez. Aliyah, thanks for being with us. It's been 2 days now. The outcome is still not clear. What's the mood of the nation right now?
Definitely. Thanks for having me. I think a lot of Americans are really sitting at the edge of their seat, both journalists and non-journalists. We're all just kind of waiting for results to, come through and for a new winner, hopefully a winner to be declared very soon.
Well, what we do know is that a record number of Indigenous people ran for elected office in this election, more than 120 people. How did they fare?
Definitely. So a lot of those races still haven't been called, but I was able to pull some numbers for you all this morning. As of Thursday morning, we know that 61 of those candidates won their offices. 33 have lost, and we're still waiting to hear from about 16 other races.
And what does that mean for some of the bigger races that we were seeing in terms of Congress and the Senate?
I'm glad that you brought that up. I think the real story for us was that the Native representation in Congress has grown. We went into Tuesday night with 4 Native Congress members, and now there will be 6. So we have Yvette Harrell, who is a Republican who will be representing New Mexico. She was newly elected Tuesday, and also we have Kai Kahele, who is Native Hawaiian, and he'll be representing Hawaii. He was also newly elected, and so we'll go ahead and, they'll be sworn into office come January, and the representation of Native people in Congress will grow from 4 to 6.
Well, yeah, to switch gears a little bit, there's been a lot of talk about CNN's use of a graphic that listed voter demographic as, quote, something else. The Native American Journalists Association is demanding CNN issue an apology. CNN has now issued an apology. Is that enough, though? What's your take on this?
Definitely. I think actually what I've been seeing on social media is a lot of Native people actually kind of making fun and having a lighthearted spin on something else. I've seen a lot of people make memes and, say we need to have this on a t-shirt. Even at Indian Country Today, our newsroom, we were saying, we are Native reporters and we're reporting on something else. So I think the mood definitely has been a little bit lighthearted, and even some serious, as you mentioned, the Native American Journalists Association sort of calling that out as well. But definitely a lot of people sort of making light of the situation.
Well, Aliyah, we'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you joining us, and hopefully we'll all have some answers here soon.
Definitely, and stay tuned to Indian Country Today for all of those updates.
That was Indian Country Today's Aliyah Chavez. Well, you may have also noticed Manitoba's secret COVID-19 trending on social media today. That's because right-wing media outlet Rebel News has a story out about how the Manitoba Métis Federation has changed an existing work camp into a facility capable of handling up to 100 Canadians, should government need arise. Rebel News is trying to make a link to it being a so-called internment camp. For more, we're joined by MMF President David Chartrand. President Chartrand, thanks for being with us. So what do you make of the allegations made in the Rebel News video?
Well, firstly, let's understand who Rebel News is. Rebel News has been known for its propaganda, actually inciting discrimination, hatred. In fact, they're quite dangerous. They're misleading Canadians and people at large by proposing that they're actually a news entity, official news entity, on reporting on what's going on out there. This particular incident, for example, on the COVID campsite. Actually, it's one of our work sites that we got through and bought and purchased during the hydro developments and work we were conducting. And so we had to come with an action plan at the Métis government. How do we deal if there's a massive increase of COVID in our communities, given that we have no health centers, we have no nurses, we have nowhere to turn, and the province is still denying any relationship with us. So we said to ourselves, we need to get to our communities, which we bought 5 tiny homes, some from British Columbia and one from Manitoba, which we can import very quickly into a community, in which we did already, for one example, in Cranberry. But when we said, what happens if it gets larger? So we said, let's take one of our camps, which was going to be established for a youth camp, and let's redevelop that right now and have it as a COVID-ready camp. Because it has everything, internet, it's got its own rooms, washroom, laundry room, kitchen, gymnasium, all in all. So that was through the MMF, nothing to do with Trudeau or the province or anybody. So this propaganda hearing there, and that's coming out now, saying that this is hidden by CBC, it's hidden by the Prime Minister. These are one of these camps he's building to put COVID people in there. Is an absolute lie. It's a false statement, and thank God we do have reputable news systems in our country, not like the United States, where they can Prime Minister can say or President can say it's all lies and false information, even though it's factual. But this is not factual. This is a false statement. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh, he probably does know what he's talking about, but he's spreading propaganda which is not true.
President Chartrand, we have spoken with you about these camps. I mean, people have known about them for months. They've been reported on, despite what they're saying, that they were set aside for Métis citizens. Could they potentially be used should the federal government call on you?
Well, in fact, let me say this. I've echoed and put out the olive branch, of course, to my friends, the Grand Chiefs. In the event they do need them, it'll be available for them. So again, this is why we built this facility. Dennis, we have to be prepared, but I encourage all those people, don't listen to that propaganda. They've been inciting hatred and all types of information. They're alt-right side. They've been confirmed as being somewhat alt-right. I actually sent it to our lawyer already. This is because they're spreading some dangerous news and trying to scare people in that area. And we did a very, as you said, Dennis, I've been promoting this site for a long time, and he's saying we're hiding it, and CBC's hiding it, and the media is hiding it. And Dennis, you know that we've been promoting this site. It's there. And I want to make sure I can do my part as a Métis government to help all Manitobas, including the Métis people. Of course, especially the Métis people for me.
Right. President Chartrand, we'll have to leave it there. I did want to ask you about the ominous barbed wire, but I think we've got it settled here. Appreciate you taking some time for us.
Dennis, you mind if I speak on that particular issue? I'll say why. Because it's going to become a youth camp after, and we have some very valuable property in there, or contents of property. And so we did put barbed wire for the future because it's an isolated area, and we want to make sure it's protected with security reasons because we have TVs. I shouldn't be advertising this, but if people want to go in there, we want to make sure we put some securities in place to protect our property.
Again, appreciate you taking some time for us, President Chartrand.
Thank you, Dennis, and thank you for wearing a poppy.
To Thunder Bay now, where the manslaughter trial of Braden Bushby has come to an end. The judge hearing the case is not expected to deliver a verdict until December 14th. Bushby is accused of causing the injury that killed Barbara Kentner. He has admitted to throwing the trailer hitch that struck her while she was walking down a street in January 2017. She died 5 months later. Bushby's lawyer said it was underlying health conditions that killed Kentner. The Crown says the trailer hitch injury led directly to her death. We'll have more on this developing story tomorrow. Time to step aside now for a quick break, but still to come, we'll hear from an Indigenous artist working with the world's largest comic book company. Welcome back. One young Cree teen is turning to some out-of-the-box fundraising efforts to advance his dream of becoming a professional hockey player. Mariko Bercier is attending one of the country's leading hockey programs, and to do so he created a line of merchandise that ties in his love of the game with his culture. Brittany Hobson brings us this.
Mariko Bercier's love for hockey has taken him to a place young players dream of. In September, Bercier moved to Saskatchewan to attend the highly regarded Athol Murray College of Notre Dame.
A lot of pro people come here. So many NHLers came here. There's better education here, way better hockey here.
The school is home to the Notre Dame hockey program, one of the most recognized hockey development programs in Canada. Bercier is from Opaskwayak and Mosaiagun Cree nations. He first visited the school in 2017 for a goalie training camp. A chance to attend the school full-time came up this past summer.
So we sat down with Mariko in August and we asked him what he wanted to do, whether it was to try out again for the AAA team or to take a chance to go to Notre Dame. The opportunity was there for him, and we wanted to know that we want him to know that the support would be there from both sides of the family.
The move came with a hefty price tag. So Bercier decided to create a merchandise line to help cover some of the costs. He created a logo incorporating his past and future.
The goalie means the people that supported me, my coaches, my friends, my supporters who believe in me that I'll make it far. Number 30 means where I started, the Paw Huskies. I couldn't have been here without the Paw Huskies. The feather was for my ancestors, and my grandpa supported me lots, and my cookums.
The family started making t-shirts and sweaters in September. They sold out within 3 hours. Bercier's mother, Savannah Sais, says the support has been phenomenal.
As I walk through the community and to see, to see people wearing this logo, it's just a really great feeling about how many supporters that he already has. Our family is really grateful and honored. We're really honored for even someone just willing to wear his logo daily.
A piece from the line even made it into the hands of Edmonton Oilers defenseman Ethan Bear.
I feel excited. I feel famous in a sort of way. I feel like everyone is supporting me, which is good. I just love it when I see people wear my shirt.
While it's not easy for a parent to let their child go, Sais says she's proud to see Bercier chase his dreams.
The opportunities that he has already is just it's just an eye opener for many, even for myself and many parents that want the best for their kids. I always say this to them: home is always going to be home. My boy will always be here. So go out and explore and do your thing.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Good luck, Mariko. Now to another inspiring story. An Alberta-based comic book artist is working with the world's biggest comic book company, Marvel Comics, to help produce a new comic that features Indigenous superheroes. And the stories are written and drawn by Indigenous talent. Chris Stewart has that story.
I believe it's called a Genosian.
Kyle Charles is showing some of his hand-drawn pages for his latest comic book project. Charles is drawing and inking a short story featuring a Native American superhero. It's to be part of a series called Marvel Indigenous Voices. His work is featured in the upcoming issue #1 that has a worldwide release. Charles has worked with big publishers before, but this is his first collaboration with Marvel.
So I'm the illustrator for a 10-page short that involves Danny Moonstar from the New Mutants, and it's about her helping out a new mutant who's discovering their powers, and they actually live on the reservation down in Arizona.
Charles says growing up, there were no Indigenous people working in comics to look up to.
As somebody who grew up without any representation in the industry, I can tell you that even just one small contribution like this, it's just like, it's just the first of many, I'm sure. It's huge. It would have been amazing to have somebody to relate to or look up to.
Now Charles has youth looking up to him.
Friends of mine or extended family come to me and tell me that hey, my son or daughter is starting to draw and really getting excited once they heard that you were doing this, and it's it's the most important thing. It's the most cherished thing, is to have the youth come up and really have something to believe in.
Vincent Joel is the owner of Wonder Harbor and Wonderland Comics. He worked with Marvel to create a special, unique cover of the comic just for his 2 stores in Edmonton and Grand Prairie. Kyle Charles designed the variant cover featuring Alberta-born Wolverine and Silver Fox. Joel ordered 3,000 copies and wants to distribute them to schools and friendship centers across Canada.
And it's really incredible when their vision and our vision coalesce, they align. We want to be able to give back to the community and allow Indigenous communities across Canada and North America to know that the only thing stopping you from achieving what Kyle has achieved is hard work. That's the only barrier.
Marvel Indigenous Voices comes out November 17th at Wonder Harbor and Wonderland Comics, with the full release everywhere on the 18th. Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
And there's a lot of excitement for that issue #1. We've got to step aside for one more quick break, but stick around. There's more to come. Welcome back. Let's check in now with our photo of the day. Today's photo is from Toby Wilson in Norway House, Manitoba. This is Skylar showing off his moose man, as he called it, and even named it Bolaf, a cousin of Olaf from Frozen. How did he get the head on there? You can send us your photos. You can email your shot to share@aptn.ca. We'll do our best to get them on the air. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting over on the East Coast, 10 with showers in St. John's, rain and 15 in Halifax, -1 with snow for Kuujjuaq, -3 and rain in Nain. 17 under sunny skies for Montreal, 6 with showers in Chibougamau. 19 under sunny skies for Toronto, 16 and sunny in Sault Ste. Marie. 15 for Thunder Bay, 13 in Sioux Lookout. In northern Manitoba, -11 with snow in Churchill, -5 and flurries in Norway House. 10 for Winnipeg, 18 in Brandon. 11 for Regina, partly cloudy, and 6 in Saskatoon. +1 in Meadow Lake, -4 and snow in Buffalo Narrows. Over in northern Alberta, -6 with flurries in Grand Prairie, sunny and 6 below for Fort McMurray. +8 in Medicine Hat, 2 and sunny in Edmonton. Plus 10 under sunny skies for Vancouver, sunny, and 12 in Victoria. Plus 4 in Prince Rupert, 10 below with snow in Dease Lake. 13 below with flurries for Old Crow, 13 below and snow for Whitehorse. Minus 10 and snow in Yellowknife, minus 15 with snow for Norman Wells. Minus 12 in Paulatuck with snow, minus 6 and flurries for Fort McPherson. 18 below in Baker Lake, snow, and 14 below in Cambridge Bay. Minus 17 with snow in Resolute, 16 below in snow in Joe Haven. Racism has made headlines around the world throughout 2020. In Nova Scotia, racism has shaped the history of Mi'kmaq and Black people for over 400 years. In this week's episode of APTN Investigates, Trina Roach explores that shared history and what it looks like today. Here's a sneak peek of Racism Lives Here Too, Part 1.
Black lives matter. Indigenous lives are sacred. Amidst a pandemic, 2020 has seen massive global protests against racism. Here in Nova Scotia, Mi'kmaq and Black communities share a history of racism that stretches back centuries.
It's history just repeating itself in different ways over and over and over again.
Right?
And it's like,
how do you change today if you don't know what happened yesterday?
Natil Batiste is Mi'kmaq and Black. Her partner, Robert Downey, is African Nova Scotian. His lineage dates back to the Black Loyalists who arrived in 1783, freed from slavery and promised land here. But the widely held narrative of Nova Scotia and what's now called Canada as a sanctuary glosses over a dark history as old as colonization.
Slavery did happen here. Early Canada was a place where slaves lived and worked. And it really has shaped our country in ways that we probably don't even fully know yet.
When you're looking at the history of racism, it goes almost from day one when the invasion of the Americas began by Europeans.
Unfortunately, Nova Scotia's racism is done with a smile.
We don't really pay attention to our own backyards, but we'll pay attention to someone else's backyard.
Looks powerful. You can catch part 1 of Racism Lives Here Too right after the newscast here tomorrow night. Now, here's Todd Lamarand to tell us what's coming up on Nation to Nation.
Hello, I'm Todd Lamarand, and here's what's coming up on Nation to Nation. A COVID outbreak at a northern Manitoba dam has nearby First Nations worried. The chiefs and the area's NDP MP Nikki Ashton want immediate action by the federal government. Officials from Indigenous Services Canada will explain what action is being taken and what they're doing to calm the fears of local residents. We also speak to an investigative journalist who digs into issues of interest to Indigenous people, but does it all through crowdfunding. That's coming up right after the national news.
That is a slick tie and shirt, Todd. And you can catch Todd in just a few minutes' time with Nation to Nation. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. For more, you can visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great night.